Good morning. Welcome to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Carotenuto from Flagler Humane Society, and we just have such a full studio today. I have two beautiful canine co-hosts and two amazing on the phone co-hosts, both animal activists. I have Brian Wilson, who helps with everything. Brian is such a dedicated animal advocate. He's been doing this for 20 years plus. He works with organizations all across the United States. He's been instrumental in helping pass all kinds of ballot initiatives for animals. I think I met you, Brian, back with the Greyhounds, which you were successful in helping. Brian serves on Seminole County Animal Services Advisory Board. He's the chair of that. He's involved with TNVR for cats. He's every animal's hero, and right now he's working to help stop the Florida black bear hunt, which he's been working on since they were hunting them in 2015. So, welcome, Brian.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, and also, we're just full of celebrity guests today. I have not Savannah. I keep wanting to call you Savannah.
No problem.
I have Susannah. This is Susannah. And Susannah Randolph is the Sierra Club of Florida chapter director. I'm trying to open up all your stuff here, Susannah. It's just you got too many credentials here. It's not opening up for me. So you're just going to have to tell us all about you.
Sure, no problem. No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And but for sure. And let me know what you want to know, and we can go for it.
I guess just tell us, how are you involved with the Sierra Club?
So my title is chapter director, but if you think about like an organization, it would be kind of like an executive director for Sierra Club Florida. So Sierra Club in the state of Florida, we have the Florida chapter. Our Florida chapter actually has 17 local groups throughout the state. So all throughout the state, we have our own volunteer executive committee and group that does work. But I, as the staff director for the Florida chapter, I work with a staff of about 12 people other than myself, and our local groups and our volunteer board to put together goals to protect Florida's natural environment and wildlife.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I definitely want to give a shout out to the Sierra Club for yesterday. I had screwed up my hotel reservations, and a friend of mine had heard about what the Sierra Club was doing. So Sierra Club ran 3 different buses, one from Tampa, one from the Orlando area, and one from Daytona Beach, and bussed people to come speak on behalf of the animals. And it was so nice because it was free. Yeah. It was just, I really, really appreciate it. Very safe, like a nice drive. I was able to keep working and not have to drive. So thank you, Sierra Club, for doing that. So
of course, our pleasure. Especially when the Florida Wildlife Commission is going to put a meeting, just a stone's throw from the Georgia border.
Yes.
It's not very accessible to most of our people, so we want to make sure that access doesn't get in the way of people being able to talk to their government officials about a very important topic like this bear hunt.
Yes, that was much appreciated. So Brian, do you want to start us off with a little bit? I know you were involved in this, the last time that FWC voted to have a bear hunt, and maybe just let folks know about what's going on that might not already be following this.
Yeah, for people who haven't been following what's going on for the bears, a decade ago, in 2015, FWC opened the first bear hunt that had happened since the 90s, because the bears had previously been hunted to the level of a threatened species. And so the bears recovered remarkably. They went from a few hundred to now several thousand. And so the FWC decided that it was time to put them back in the crosshairs again in 2015. At that time, we did the same thing we did this time, is we formed a coalition of different groups to speak out for the bears. We had statewide protests. We attended all of their FWC commission meetings to encourage them to do the right thing and not put the bears back into crosshairs for the hunters. Unfortunately, in 2015, they made the same decision. They decided to reopen bear hunting, and it was an absolute disaster for the bears. They claimed that they would be hunting only the large males, and it wouldn't harm the population, and it wouldn't harm the amazing work that had already been done towards securing communities for negative bear-human interactions. And unfortunately, the reality was that many of these bears were killed who were pregnant. They had nursing mothers. They had underage cubs. If there was a violation, it occurred in 2015 hunt. And so in 2016, the FWC Commission, again, was being reconsidering after the hunt. Their first meeting was, again, stocked with advocates saying, you learned nothing from our warnings. Unfortunately, this was our worst fears, and even more so, came true. And they decided that no, we're not going to have another bear hunt. We're going to put the quota at 0, and we'll just take this off the menu so we can stop talking about it again. And that held for 10 years. It wasn't a good relationship because we obviously wanted to have the bears taken completely off the hunting list, but a 0 quota achieved the same results. No bears were dying. And so when this was brought forward again in December of last year, luckily we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We had the coalition, we had the tools, we had the same individuals involved. So we just had to reactivate it, and we're very pleased that we could include other members in this campaign. And the outcry was occurring, and unfortunately the same reality happened. As many people didn't even know Florida has a bear, let alone having bear hunts, because many of these bears are very solitary animals. They're very reclusive. They don't want to be in your neighborhood. But if you put out the garbage unsecured, or if you have unsecured food outside for feral cats or whatever, then you have to learn how to live properly with bears, and that's really the solution, is education, not hunting bears.
I know one of the things that that I said yesterday when I spoke in front of them was there's talk about how people have seen them on their Ring cameras. And, I see them on the Ring camera all the time. And I thought the dogs had something. They see them on their Ring cameras. And I said, yes, exactly. That's the point. You've had bears walk through your yard before, but they walk peacefully through your yard, going from point A to point B. So if it weren't for your Ring camera, you wouldn't even know they were there. They're peaceful. But now that people are seeing them on their Ring cameras, it's all this big tizzy. They're in our neighborhoods, but they're peaceful. They've always been there. They just, don't put food out, like you said. Get the bear-proof trash cans, and there should be no issue. They'll go back to the woods.
Yeah, and the Seminole County commissioners have put a tremendous effort into making our communities into bear-wise communities with the bear-proof cans and the education work that goes out there, and not a small amount of enforcement work of reminding people that you need to secure your trash and you won't have negative bear-human interactions. The bears won't come here for food; they will stay where they need to be staying, in the woods. And it's this problem they're having with the bears is not a bear problem; it's a human problem. When so many things that are harming to animals are human problems, not animal problems. So we had hoped they would learn from the past, but unfortunately here we are again.
Yeah, and Florida's just growing so fast that we're taking away so much habitat, and like somebody said yesterday, it's not bad enough we're taking away their habitat, but now we're going to take away their life, and it's just not necessary. The population of bears is so small compared to, a lot of the other wildlife that we see. I know I wrote an article recently, and like the number of deer we have, the number of alligator we have, and the number of bear is just minuscule compared to that. It's really frustrating. I'm sure Susannah, you have a lot of people on this, and you guys are working really hard. It's got to be so frustrating for you right now.
Well, it's frustrating, but it's also, it's kind of being there yesterday. It was a very long day. It was extremely hot and humid. We traveled a really long distance, but I will never forget walking up to the curb and watching the 3 buses come in and watching the people come off those buses ready to fight. And yes, we lost, but this is just a battle and a bigger, longer going fight. I can tell you that there were 167 speakers yesterday. We were the majority. Well, not by a ton, but we were the majority in the room. And you saw that too. People got on our buses as volunteers, but they disembarked as warriors. they are ready to fight. And I can tell you, you probably saw on the buses, but I heard a report back from the Sarasota bus captain that the community that people built, the connections that they made, the inspiration that they shared around staying involved and staying strong and holding the line on this was just got more. It's kind of when we did the Save Our Parks thing last year, the governor put it forward. Everybody rose up to the occasion. We fought. We pivoted to an offensive position. We filed a bill. We passed the bill unanimously, and the governor signed it, even though it was his idea to begin with. But he felt he had to because there was so much pressure. So I think it was a short-term loss, and yes, it's devastating, and yes, it's horrible. But the long-term gain we got out of yesterday is that we have a deeper level of commitment from very important people across the state, from every part of the state. I talked to people who came from the Keys, right, for yesterday's meeting. That's a 12-hour trip. That's a 12-hour trip for them. Yeah. These folks are just going to go out and recruit more. So I feel very positive about the fact that this fight is going to continue, and we are going to have way more on our side to work with than we did even just yesterday.
Awesome. Well, I want to talk some more about the details of what's allowed during the hunt, but we need to take a quick break first. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Carotenuto from Flagler Humane Society, and I failed earlier to introduce my beautiful co-hosts that are here in the radio station with me. We have Sophie, who is a gorgeous black and white. She's kind of a terrier mix. I picked these two dogs because I thought they were the two dogs at the shelter that looked the most like bears. So that's the tie-in here. So we have Sophie, and then her bonded partner, Midnight. Midnight and Sophie are about, I think Midnight's a little bit younger than Sophie. He's about 8 years old, and Sophie is in the double digits here. She's at least 10. These two have been at the shelter for a little while. I think we're up to about 6 months. And they're just the sweetest. They're such good dogs. They spend a lot of time in our lobby just hanging out with our lobby staff. They're house trained. They walk nicely on a leash. They're just, they ride nice in the car. They get along with everybody. We throw puppies in there with them, and they'll hang out with they're just like the nicest dogs. So if you're looking to adopt like a super mellow pair that will just kind of hang out in your living room and just be your bestest friends, come see Sophie and Midnight at Flagler Humane Society. So they're here helping me in person. And on the phone, I have Susannah and Brian, both bear advocates that are working to somehow, hopefully, I think it's a tiny hope that we could still stop this bear hunt that's planned to start December 2025. So Brian, part of what makes this such a painful loss yesterday is some of the details of what's going to be allowed in this hunt, what FWC has allowed, and we had asked them to at least carve these things out of what's allowed, and they ignored our pleas. So Brian, tell us a little bit about some of what's going to be allowed.
Yeah, it's found out that the previous hunt was just going to be using standard firearms, but quite literally in December, the FWC commissioner said, we want a bear hunt and we want it all. And in this case, all meant using bows and arrows, allowing the use of dogs, allowing these animals to be hunted over bait. And that's just, it's completely unsportsmanlike to hunt an animal over a food source. You're literally luring the animal there and then killing it while it's doing, its animal thing of just trying to find food. So that's one of the horrific things. Adding bow and arrow to any form of hunting is absolutely tragic for these animals because these razor sharp arrowheads typically don't wind up having a quick death to the animal. They frequently wind up bleeding out, and they could go quite a distance before they wind up dying. And even a quick death from a bow and arrow winds up piercing the heart or winds up piercing the lungs, and the animals are quite literally drowning in their own blood. But the FWC commissioners were completely impervious to any of the pleas from the public that says, look, you want to have the hunt, that's fine. Let's try to make this at least a reasonable hunt. And they they refuse to listen to any input from the public. They, like they said in December, we want to kill bears and we want to kill them any way we want to kill them. And these hunting means, so much of the public is opposed to these hunting means. And so thank you for having us on to have the opportunity to talk about what's really going to go on in the woods, because what happens in the woods affects all of us. Harming our Florida wildlife is absolutely inexcusable. We can all take a picture of a bear, but the first person that pulls the trigger or fires that arrow has taken that away from all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so sad to think of. A bow and arrow, I just don't get it. The hide on a bear, I don't get how many arrows is it going to take for a fatal. It's just amazing to think that that's possible in 2025. I mean, this is basically legalized animal cruelty. And then also dogs. I mean, they can have up to 6 dogs per hunter chasing these bears. So 2-3 hunters walking together. So can 18 dogs tree one bear? I mean, is that something that could happen?
That absolutely could happen. Under the new rule, they said that each hunter could have up to 6 dogs, and there could be up to 3 hunters per permit. So they are literally going to be running almost 20 dogs through the woods where other animals live. It's not just the bears aren't isolated animals.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be startling, raccoons and possums and animals that are already starting to hibernate, because in December, by Florida standards, it's getting cold, but the food is not going to be as abundant, so the animals are starting to bed into their winter areas, and so having these dogs run through the bush, run through whatever random areas have other animals trying to get by, it's just inexcusable that they're going to disrupt so much of the natural forest sport. People don't eat bear. This isn't a hunt for sustenance, and the bear population is not causing the problems. It's a human problem that we put our trash out for the bears to be attracted to. Right. The bears are minding their own bear business, and I love what you said. You see them on a ring camera, but I see a bear is not this bear is causing problems. It's just you saw a bear. Right. That's a great thing.
Right. And I guess the excuse for using dogs on their end, the excuse was once they tree this poor terrified bear, they can look up and figure out if it's a male or female so that they won't kill the female. So I wonder how successful was that last time?
Well, without requiring hunter education, I'm not sure how a lot of these hunters are going to be able to tell the difference between a male and a female. I don't believe anybody could tell a lactating bear from up a tree. And if they do decide to not kill the bear, have they already put so much stress on these bears mm-hmm. that it's going to literally, they've expended a lot of their energy they needed to survive the winter, and these bears have now been terrorized from their den or their area, and they can become disoriented depending mm-hmm. on how far that bear was having to run from their normal territory. Mm-hmm. So it's inexcusable to incorporate any additional hunting for these animals, and we just wish the FWC had done the right thing.
Right. I thought that they would at least have pulled the dogs or the bow and arrow hunting. I thought that they might have at least done that, just because it's so inhumane what they're proposing. It's heartbreaking for sure. So we are going to take another quick break, and we'll come back and maybe come up with something that people can do to try to help. We'll be right back. And we are back to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Carotenuto here in the studio, joined by Midnight and Sophie, 2 gorgeous adoptable dogs at the Humane Society. And also on the phone, I've got Susannah, who's the director of the Florida chapter of the Sierra Club, and I also have Brian, who is a lifelong animal advocate, both here helping me discuss this horrific bear hunt that FWC just voted to hold starting in December. So all is not completely lost. I know, Susannah, you said it feels like the animal advocates perhaps will be even stronger to oppose this. And although the vote is a done deal, what can people do moving forward if we've got any chance at all to stop this? Can we do anything? Yes,
we absolutely can. Yes, it's devastating to lose, and we we have lost votes before, and we have still been able to win. So I think what people should understand is this is not the final decision. There is one that is coming up in November that we can mobilize around. But what is important to know politically about this state is that a board like the Florida Wildlife Commission is appointed by the governor. And if anybody has seen or read or knows anything about Governor Ron DeSantis, they know that he is a buck stops here kind of governor, right? He knows what he wants, and if he wants it, he will get it done. So we need to ask Governor DeSantis to reverse course on this hunt. He can instruct those commissioners to do that, but he needs to feel the pressure to make that happen. We had great success last year at Sierra Club. Most people probably remember the Save Our Parks fight. Governor Ron DeSantis actually put forward through his DEP an effort to bulldoze and develop our parks. People showed up big time. They got in the field. We really flexed across the state as voters to say we did not want this. He dropped that within 4 days, told us he was going back to the drawing board. So we filed a bill, and we actually passed it unanimously with Republicans leading it. And now he actually felt so much pressure that he signed the bill. We can do that again here. Rick Scott felt so much pressure after the hunt in 2015 that no doubt he instructed the commissioners, I can't have this much heat on me right now. So this is the kind of thing that we need to really ask Governor DeSantis to instruct his commissioners to reverse course on this hunt. And I think if we do that, and he has not come out publicly and made a position on this hunt, so there is an opportunity for him to do the right thing. I gave comments yesterday saying as much. I said, while you guys are technically passing this, we all know that Governor DeSantis could stop this hunt tomorrow. That got a reaction out of the chairman, Rodney Barreto. He was very that's not my boss, but in fact it is. Mm-hmm. And I think it will be very interesting for Governor DeSantis to hear the remarks that he made at the end of that testimony, because I think when we give him when we put enough pressure on him, and it will take a lot, and I'm not saying we will win by any stretch, but we owe it to the Bears to try, that we've got to try to put pressure on him and lay the behavior of this politicized commission that absolutely flew in the face of all science, logic, and public opinion, lay their behavior at the feet of the governor and challenge him to reverse course on this. That is what everybody can do. Letters to the editor, call the governor. We need public expressions of support to reverse this hunt going to the governor. Absolutely. So,
be nice.
That's our chance.
And definitely people need to be nice. Don't, let's make sure that we stay, that the animal advocates are the good people. Yeah. We want to be very polite when we write letters to the governor or call or whatever. Be polite. It's, 81% of Florida voters and the survey, wasn't the survey something that FWC even did? So nobody can say it's a fake survey.
Actually, Humane Society did it, but it's still a survey. but it's still,
I thought I had heard,
because they know.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to poll. They know what the poll answers will be, right?
Mm-hmm. There was.
The FWC did their own poll before the December meeting. In the May meeting, before they had the actual language written out, mm-hmm. and they had said that 75% of their own respondents, this wasn't a random poll of animal people, this was the FWC mailing list, so the people who are already engaged with the hunting community, mm-hmm. 75% had said that it's not going to happen, that it should not happen. Wow. So it's their own records say it's not popular.
So, basically the message to the governor could be, you could be the hero of the vast majority of Floridians by reversing this. So come on, everybody, let's do this. I appreciate both Susannah and Brian, both of y'all, for being on the show today. I think I love both of you guys and really appreciate the work that you do to help animals. And so for Midnight, for Sophie, we're signing off. Thank you guys both.
Thank you.